to bring voice to what equity means in VASD. There has been much rhetoric and negativity around the word equity, as well as diversity and inclusion. As we read this statement this evening, we are reminding ourselves and our community what it is that VASD stands for, per the voice of our staff, students, community members, families, school leaders, and school board. We value and uplift the power of the lived experiences of those we serve. In the VASD, equity means an intentional focus on ensuring that students have the resources and support they need, regardless of demographic and identity, to thrive in a diverse global society. And we strive to remove the predictability of outcomes by demographic or identity characteristics. We remain committed to advancing the success of VASD through the greatness of all of our students and who they are, and that will not change or minimize our equity focus. We will not change or minimize our equity focus. So with that said, Corby, would you please read our two statements this evening?
Sure.
Thank you.
In the Verona Area School District, our mission is that each student will acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to achieve their personal goals, thrive in a diverse global society, and lead a healthy, self-fulfilling life. To meet this mission, the Verona Area School District will ensure that every individual has access to the educational, social, and emotional support they need to feel valued and affirmed in their unique identities and experiences. We acknowledge that inequities and power dynamics exist in our system, such that some individuals, on the basis of their identities, face barriers to accessing the opportunities they need to experience success. In acknowledgement of such, the Verona Area School District is committed to disrupting these systems of inequity. And the land acknowledgement reads, there are currently 12 tribal nations who call Wisconsin home, with the Ho-Chunk Nation being the primary group living around Madison. No matter where you are in the state, you are on the ancestral land of a tribal nation. As we begin our meeting, we honor the land upon which we stand.
Thank you. I appreciate being able to share a bit, and other board members, Dr. Clarity, I just opened up if you want to share anything as well about just sentiments related to our equity statement, anything that I shared to you.
I would just say that I wanted to say that the clap. So thank you for the additional piece in setting the foundation. Having moved here 4 years ago from Seattle, a queer family, multiracial, many challenges just that we faced during the pandemic, and then catching up as a family. We were nervous to come to a new district, and I will say that having landed here, we couldn't be more proud to be part of the Verona Area School District. My kids are doing great, and we're just really happy to be part of that family. And it is the framework and the commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion that we will address barriers as they exist to uplift all students. That is what brought me to the school board. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I'll just add that it's very frustrating from a perspective of a board member to hear all this discourse that's going on about, you know, DEI being like a buzzword for anything bad that people don't like, when actually it's not just something that we throw out there. It's actually really important to the work that we do. Because if you just take one piece of it, the inclusion part of it, all that's saying is that making sure that all of our students, no matter what their background is, no matter who they are, feel safe in our schools and feel valued in our schools. And there's just a ton of research from people who really know what they're doing in this, that is one of the crucial elements to success in educating kids, is making kids feel valued and safe in their classroom. And it's just very sad to me that there are people who are opposed to that idea. And that it's not just something that we talk about, it's something that's really important to the results that we're trying to achieve.
So personally, going through what I'm going through regarding the executive orders, the board knows, but the community doesn't, that my wife works for USAID and the International Development Division. And she was responsible, the director of international development of schools around the world. So she would travel the world, and wherever the organization, the agency saw that education was in dire straits, she would run an analysis, do an assessment, and they will build a school there. The thing I want to echo is that diversity, equity, and inclusion has become this bad word, and it seems to be revolving around race. And knowing what my wife does for international development, that couldn't be further from the truth. It's race, it's ethnicity, it's gender development, it's LGBTQ+, it's those with disabilities. It is all of that. And so I want us to be mindful of that when we read our equity statement, that we really are talking inclusion. And I'm so happy that this district, this board stood up and said that whatever's going on Capitol Hill, it's not going to change the direction that we are headed with regards to equity and ensuring that all of our students thrive in a diverse global society. So I think I owe you an applause because you were the first person I called when those executive orders went out. And your superintendent said to me on the phone, we're not changing a thing. So, thank you.
You want to add anything, Dr. Claire?
There's so much, but I want to spend most of our time with our families and our children, so I'll be very brief. I can't tell you how honored and proud I am to serve in the Verona School District as superintendent and to be in partnership with a board of education that has made a clear statement around not just what equity means here in the Verona School District, but to continue to be a model of what equity, diversity, and inclusion should be as a model for our nation. We talked about a lot being a national model of excellence grounded in equity, and to sit before you with an unapologetic stance that we are not going to waver away from that commitment, no matter what anyone says, no matter how someone tries to change the language for us or our behalf. That is not who we are. If you look around our room and look into space, tell me we're not diversity, equity, and inclusion, all right? And to honor everyone in our spaces and to honor every child, to honor everyone with the opportunity to have an appropriate world-class public education. This is why we do the work. We do that work so every student has that right, has that ability, and ultimately is able to be free and be able to thrive in the most diverse global society that has ever existed. So yeah, we're passionate about it, but the commitment couldn't be any greater than it is right now to not just continue that work, but to go deeper. We will not turn away from our stance. That'll never happen. And I just want to put that out there as a commitment. And this doesn't happen without this Board of Education standing arm in arm to be able to do the work together. So thank you to our board for your leadership, commitment, and driving the work through policy.
Thank you. Thanks, board. Thanks, Dr. Clarity. And I want to reiterate thank you to the community, our entire VASD community. That equity statement lives because of the work of everyone. It is a reflection of multiple perspectives. It was not written by this board. It was a collaboration of community voice. And so just to uplift again the gratitude I have for our community living and breathing in that statement with us every meeting.
Thank you for the opportunity to everyone on board stands behind that every day in all the work we're doing.
Thank you. And then back to business. So we do need to formally adopt our agenda for this evening. And board, just in looking, we do have back-to-back meetings, which is also reminding me as a surprise with how February, January have shaken out. So given that, as of right now, we only have one kind of main agenda item for next week. So I'm wondering, with the other amazing things we have going on this evening, how you all feel about moving our results policy reviews to next week. Open to discussion. Any thoughts about that before I will make a motion to do just that?
If that's the only thing we have on the agenda, that'd be a great time today. There's a lot of great discussion.
And that would be my appreciation, so we can enjoy the discussion in the space that we have tonight. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion then to approve tonight's agenda with the adjustment, the amendment of moving the two results policies monitoring reports to next week. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christopher. All those in favor of amending the agenda as moved signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, The agenda has been adopted. So we will move on to student recognition. You all are well placed and ready for us to turn things over. We're so glad to have you all here. Hello.
Yep, good evening. I'm Miss Tate. I'm a 7th grade teacher at Badger Ridge. And with me, I have Miss Hyde, who's an 8th grade teacher, and she also leads the BSU Black Student Union Group at Badger. And today we have some scholars who are going to be sharing some of the activities that we did to honor and celebrate Black History Month at Badger. So let's go ahead, let's stand up and have you guys introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Christina.
My name's Christina.
My name's Christina.
My name's Jenna.
My name is Valeriana Dawkins.
My name is Ryan Curtis.
My name is Rosario Norwood.
My name is Nadia Benny.
My name is Taja Nickerson.
And everything we do is rooted in love. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And those are words kind of penned by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and guides the work that I do as an educator. We have a combination of some school-wide and community events that scholars are going to share with you. First up, we have scholars that'll tell you guys about the daily trivia that we do each day.
Each day, BSU students announce clues for pioneer Black history. Advisory students work together to research and submit their guesses. Over 30 classes have participated each day.
And it's an opportunity for our Black students to have their voices heard over the PA. And 30 classes represent Badger and our other schools in the building. And then one of the other school-wide activities we have is our door decorating contest. Our theme this year is Literacy is Freedom.
Another school-wide activity for Black History Month is the door decorating contest. The door decorating contest is based on decorating a door with African-American activists or any African-American views. This year's theme aims to uplift African-American individuals who have made contributions in literature and literacy. Doors will be judged on Friday, February 28th, 2020.
And then there are some other events that our scholars are taking part in. One is the Black History Month Bowl. We have a student, Winton Carl, who's going to be representing Badger Ridge as well as Verona, and we're hoping that they place well so that they can go on to the nationals. And then we also have some things planned for our family and community after school.
After school on February 26th, there will be a DJ battle and soul food.
And so it just serves as a time for our families to come together in the spirit of fun and community and just celebrate and have some good food and listen to some music. All right, and that's all we have for you guys. Were there any questions for the group?
Questions or comments? I know sometimes the board has a lot of comments to offer when we have students visit.
I want an invite for the DJ battle.
Yes, February 26th after school.
Okay.
Can anybody participate in the DJ battle?
I believe so. I know they have a couple of DJs who signed up. But feel free, we can always squeeze you in.
I can't wait for the Black History Bowl. I always love that.
Is it here again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I can't wait for the DJ.
Have you seen the book?
Yes.
That's a good book.
Do some of you have doors that are being judged on Friday?
Yes, everyone.
Okay, okay.
We'd love a picture of the living.
Yes, for sure.
Yes,
There
well,
is one on
Oh, is that one? Okay, that's one of the current ones right now.
And so a lot of teachers this week have begun papering. And so part of it is the teachers deliver a lesson with a central message for students, and then all the students work together to create some piece that is then placed on the board. And so some of them are researching music literacy, and then they're presenting that on their door. My classroom, we talked a lot about Sesame Street and the African-American beginnings of Sesame Street. And they really, really loved making pictures of Elmo. And then this door up here is in the 6th grade wing. They got started early. So I told them they would be on the slides.
I was just gonna say, I've heard that board members are welcome in schools anytime, so you feel free to invite us if there's something that you want us to see at school. We would love to come and see. Thank you so much for sharing those some images and some information at our board meeting.
So today I had you timed up perfectly with today. I also had the advisory at Badger Ridge and Core Knowledge. Some of our Core Knowledge advisory students are here, as well as our Badger Ridge representatives as well. And I opened up today with a Black History open challenge, just kind of seeing how far things were going. And they brought some knowledge that I had to go back to the book and, yeah, you're right about it. So it's not, I say all that because the education that's happening in regards to all of our history, which a component of that is Black history. And please note, it's celebrated beyond February, but the knowledge that our students are bringing, not just in identifying significant characters, but they knew where the characters, what our historians meant in terms of where we are now, and they're able to bring those connections. So it's not just memorization, there's some thorough knowledge that's happening. And I just want to express my appreciation for seeing it live in action in classrooms and in the advisory today, and then hearing how it's coming to life with the presentation today. So shout out to you, our amazing staff, to both at Badger Ridge and Core Knowledge for doing very, very deep work in representing all of our history and making sure representation matters. So congratulations to all of you.
All right. We will move on then through our agenda. We're headed into the superintendent's report. Our first item is to hear more about Core Knowledge Charter School and their renewal proposal.
All right, so ready for us to start?
We are ready.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Steph Prince, principal at Core Knowledge Charter School. I'm joined here with two of the parents from one is from our past governing board and another parent who's part of our committee. We've been working diligently the past 2 years to review our charter agreement between our PAS and the Verona Area School Board. And I'm going to let them talk quite a bit as well, but just wanted the opportunity to present about our school, share the amazing things that have been happening in our school, the hard work that our committee has taken to really review our charter alongside Dr. Clarity and Nate Edwards, and then brought some students as well to bring our school into the room a little bit for all of you.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben McQuiston, one of the parents on the renewal board. I'm going to share the mission statement, but on a personal note, one of the reasons we picked CORE was for parental involvement. While I didn't foresee presenting to the board as being involved, it has certainly been a privilege and a great opportunity to learn about charter schools and about our district, and it's been really rewarding. So our mission statement, the Verona Area Core Knowledge Charter School is a public education option for parents, students, and teachers in the Verona Area School District, where students develop strong learning skills and a broad base of knowledge through the use of proven educational materials and programs in a safe and structured environment.
Absolutely. And so I wanted to really stress how important it is that everyone hears and understands and knows the strong collaborative partnership with, as the Core Knowledge Charter School being a part of the Verona School District. And I know I said this a couple of weeks ago with New Century, but this is Core Knowledge that we're specifically talking about. And I want to make sure that if you didn't hear my message last time, you clearly hear that it is our charter system and Core Knowledge specifically, as we're talking about today, that really allows us to have those unique opportunities for education for all of our students to thrive in our spaces. And I think sometimes there's mindsets around charter and the Verona School District. That's not the case. Our charter systems are the Verona School District. We are a complete community of learners together, but we offer very unique experiences, which is what you want in public education. You want different experiences for different opportunities, so people have those choices, but those choices still are part of our educational design, still under the umbrella and mission of the Verona School District, and not just the governance council, but also just the families. It's just been such a strong partnership for the last 3.5 years, and I just want to express my appreciation for bringing me into those spaces, strong collaborative conversations. Anytime we've had to work out specific details, we did so with honor and been able to walk away with our students in mind and making sure that our students had what's best. So really, I just wanted to express that on behalf of myself and the partnership, and on behalf of our Board of Education. Thank you for the unique experiences and allowing our students to thrive in the Core Knowledge.
Absolutely, thank you.
Hi, I'm Nate Edwards. I'm the school district's legal counsel, and I'm here for a very brief update, hopefully. To just say that I have reviewed this contract, and I believe that this contract meets all of the statutory requirements needed for the school district to enter into such a contract. Some of those requirements are these descriptions you see at the slide here, including a description of the school's programming method, as well as policy clarifications such as that the school will use the school district's progressive discipline model. Progressive behavior. Progressive responsible. They're really concerned with the wording. Words are important as an attorney. I should say that this contract is substantially similar to previous iterations of the contract, but there are some changes that have been made. One change that was a request from the district side, before we get into some of the requests from the charter side, was extending the waitlist timetable. Previous iterations of the contract had the waitlist dissolve 5 days before the school year began. We made a change to have this waitlist dissolve at the end of Q1 of the school year. The reason why we made this change is because students are oftentimes placed in these charter schools during the charter lottery period early in the spring. And over the course of half a calendar year, sometimes things happen. Students move, parents change their mind, life happens, and sometimes students just don't end up in those seats. So then in the early days of the school year, we have to try and figure out, okay, how do we actually fill these seats? And extending the wait list creates less uncertainty in terms of how to do that.
So early on, our contract review committee made a decision to adopt Wisconsin's DPI charter template. This change gave our charter committee the confidence that the content of the contract would meet that minimum necessary requirement. It allowed us to focus on what is most important, both our curriculum and our governance structure. And as we continued to travel through this journey, it became evident the opportunity and the benefits of working in alignment with New Century, as well as being more cohesive with the district as a whole.
A few other changes to this current contract that we wanted to make sure to highlight The biggest major change, I would say, from the one that the contract that we're currently living under to this new 6th contract renewal, was a realization of some conversations that we were having at a governing council level in order to allow for exploration and change within our curriculum. So currently, the contract that we're currently living under names specifically curriculum of direct instruction. Direct instruction is a method of giving curriculum. So we actually have curriculum that are not titled direct instruction. We currently use reading mastery and math expressions. Those are curriculum. So we were rewriting from more of a technicality of what the current state is, and also expanding and having conversations as a governing council as to what are our actual grounding values to guide us in any future curriculum choices that we may have. So to allow us more of a North Star of our educational program statement and not to lock us in to one specific curriculum that we've already have changed over the since 2020. So I'm not going to read all of them, but really the values that we have that we consolidated into our educational program statement were this balance of both direct and explicit instruction with conceptual understanding. So it's really important for us anytime that we are looking at curriculum for our school. That idea that we are standards aligned, evidence-based, knowledge building, and inclusive of diverse perspectives, as well as we did name the core knowledge sequence. That's a sequence of content. It is not necessarily a direct curriculum. It's just the content that then is a spiraling coherent sequence, kindergarten through 8th grade. So that did stay named specifically in our contract. And then we just really wanted to put into words the idea of small flexible learning groups, however that may look. As we explore different curriculum, that small flexible learning groups are important to us, but that we're not dedicated to just one specific curriculum as we continue to learn and grow. And so then we do have a short video that we're going to share. It's 5 minutes just to share a little bit to bring our school into the space as well. If I can go back to that one now, I'm going to run. Apologize.
I like going to school because, like, there are different things I can see.
You like seeing all the work on the walls.
I like about my school is learning about these type of people and like Martin Luther King Jr. And we also learn about Dr. Brown. I love learning about these people because they're so special to me. I like Cornell because there's a lot of nice people here and they give me a warm welcome this year and I enjoy it.
I like that more knowledge challenges me.
Sound it out. Get ready. What word? More. Sound it out. Get ready. What word? More. Sound it out. Get ready. What word? Yes, sit. Read these words the fast way.
Equals 16. All right, I'm going to do my math trick. Ready? 10 plus 6 equals 9. Did someone make 18 number for us using these?
I got it. Wait, what? You got it? See this pattern here? So it's like 312. So we need to do 4 16. So just write 4 16. Because she's saying to plug in a new number. So you just gotta keep the pattern going. 4/16. No, 4. Okay. Then 4/16. Yeah, 4. How can you analyze the relationship between dependent and independent? So like independent, like the x-axis. Yeah, so independent is here and then dependent is here. Yeah, and like it could be like like 5 right here, 6, 7, 8. So we're on the science fiction unit, so we have to rewrite fairy tales as science fiction novels. So I did The Boy Who Cried Wolf, but instead of crying wolf, he pressed the emergency button on his plane. Oh, yeah, like they said, you had to do a science fiction version of a fairy tale, and I chose Pinocchio, but he's an evil robot who shoots lasers out of his nose.
What I most enjoy about teaching at Cornell's Charter School is the energy and the enthusiasm of our learners, how they approach each and every day with a love of learning and so thrilled to be here. Parents always say how much their children like coming to school, and that is so important to me to make each day a positive experience for them. And the magic happens because we are a part of the charter school. It is amazing how much support we get from our families, and that shows in their children, and it shows in the joy that we as teachers have working here.
I value our staff collaboration. We have a tight-knit community of educators who work closely together to support our students each and every day.
Knowing that the students are so excited about learning, I think that makes it a really fun place to work, and that the staff collaborates a lot, and we bounce ideas off of each other, and we really have each other's backs.
As both a current staff and a former parent, what I value about CKCS is the remarkable longevity of staff, teachers with the minimal turnover. I appreciate the high quality education my children received when they were here. I also truly appreciate the relationships that teachers and staff build with students, and also the whole family. Like, it's just not the kids, they build relationships with everybody. And also just being a K-8 school, it's great. It helps with families that just, need all the children in the same building. So, yes.
Just a few more slides, and we have a few students who want to share what they love about our school. As I already said, the values that we really grounded in as a governing council and a charter committee team, the things that make us unique and really ground us in anything that we do are the importance of an explicit and knowledge-building instruction, direct instruction, collaboration between students, staff, and families, as well as helping to grow students in their civic development and engagement. So some quick examples that educational experiences and explicit and knowledge-building instruction. This really is an equity statement or an equity strategy that we really feel strongly about, is the importance of, especially in our younger students, but throughout throughout K through 8, is grounding them in explicit knowledge that we are providing them in order for them to have that knowledge, in order to then have the education as freedom. That knowledge is helping them live their dreams. So really connecting it to our educational equity framework, that is a non-negotiable for us in any kind of curriculum that we are looking at. Also the authentic collaboration, students learning from and with each other. K-8, almost daily, we have our older students working in classrooms with our younger students, helping them to learn content. In that picture there, the students were learning about the moon phases, and really having them learn together with each other is amazing. Also on the playground, things like that, they're always interacting with each other and helping to see how we can help our older students model behavior for our younger students. We have sharing with families through learner fair, collaborating with our staff, and just really valuing the unique perspectives of all in our community. And then lastly, about that civic engagement and development, we do also ground in core virtues to help our students learn around just the values and virtues of showing up in the world and how to help one another through courage, humanity, justice, etc. And we did also bring back this year the service learning component of our school, which was from the beginning an important part of our school. It took a backseat a little bit during the pandemic, but really every classroom has a service learning project that they are whether it's more local, like this kindergarten literacy walk out on our nature path, to more expanded into the community that they are helping to give back to the Verona Area School District community. So we have 4 students who are in the room as well, and they have some short paragraphs that they each got to choose what they wanted to write about, to share their experiences. So we arranged from first through, why don't you just come over here, right? This is where you live. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
And so we have Elsie. Elsie, if you want to come over here, we'll get in order, and then Ian and Natalie and Maddie are going to share a little bit about what they chose to write about that they like about knowledge. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Elsie, and I am in first grade at Verona. One thing I like about my school is that I can walk down to the natatorium in school. I also really like being able to visit other classrooms if I need to. I do this if I am the messenger for our classroom. In my 4 classes, we have learned about plants, planets, and humans and their cultures. Right now, we are learning about Black History Month during our school time.
Ian, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Ian, and I'm in 4th grade. I came to Core in 3rd grade, and one thing I love about the school is the Learner Fair. The Learner Fair is basically a science fair. Every grade has a topic, and you get to do something from it. For example, last year in 3rd grade, we did a report. I did an orangutan report because it was an animal report. This year, we're doing a natural disaster simulation and report. I'm doing tsunamis. I really like it every year and always have fun. Also, what I find fascinating about the Learner Fair is every year I learn something new about the topic I do. That concludes my speech on Learner Fairs.
Okay, Natalie in 5th grade.
Hello, I'm Natalie McWilliams. I'm a 5th grade student at Core Knowledge Charter School. I've attended for 3 years. When I was asked to talk about Core Knowledge, I immediately thought to talk about the amazing reading and math program. One big reason why my parents wanted me to join Core was because they knew I was sure to be placed in the right class level that would fit my specific needs. I really like the reading and math curriculum Core has to offer, not only because they have 2 different classes to meet the students' levels and needs, they also give us the opportunity to correct our papers and learn from our mistakes. Lastly, my teacher, Ms. Shore, makes me and everybody else feel very comfortable speaking in the class discussions. When it comes to the homework, it's not my favorite, but I think it meets the needs of learning. To wrap up my time tonight, I would like to say thank you for providing this style of learning. It has truly enhanced my learning experience. Also, I wanted to say speaking today was a great experience and opportunity for me. Thank you very much and have a good night.
One more, Maddie from 8th grade.
Hi, my name is Maddie Nevins. I'm 13 years old in 8th grade, and I've been at CKA since kindergarten. Since I've joined the community, I've always had a good experience here at Core. Whether it's getting an 100 on a test or cheering at an assembly, Core Knowledge has always been such a fun learning environment. One of my favorite things that CKCS has done is the quarterly competitions. These competitions have included basketball, stacking cups, partner activities, and etc. But my personal favorite is the 8th grade versus teacher volleyball game. This event happens once a year where 8th grade students play a volleyball match against the teachers and faculty. Since I first joined Core, I've always looked forward to be able to compete, and I'm so excited to be able to beat the teachers this year. I love that we are able to have these opportunities to have fun during the school year, and I'm so grateful to have such a great and supportive community all these years to help me learn, grow, and have fun.
Good job. Let's give it that the students have never won the volleyball, but every 8th grade class thinks that they're going to be the one. So maybe this year, we'll see. And then just to wrap up, putting our charter into action, moving forward, just some things in the future for us. We are in the process of undergoing our own ELA curriculum adoption and looking at various curriculum opportunities to help build upon the successes that we've experienced, as well in grounding and grade level standards for all students. and more inclusive materials. So really looking at what our ELA curriculum, we've had a lot of success, and we know that we can have even more success with some new materials. Continuing to build on our values of equity and diversity, and just continuing to honor what makes us unique as a school community as well.
Okay. I just want to take a moment and say thank you for sharing our story. We're very proud of our school. We value you and the district, your partnership and your support as we continue to deliver our mission, which is developing strong leaders, our learning skills, and broad-based knowledge within our student body. So thank you.
Well, I didn't share this last week, and it was just kind of an afterthought, so this would be certainly relevant to New Century if folks are listening in. I'm super grateful, Nate, for your partnership and for how you all just kind of inform us of the legalese behind this, because truly I love listening to the student stories. I love hearing about the school, and I know as a board, we're technically here to vote on a legal document with the underlying philosophy of just the belief and the kind of reassurance to you all that we look forward to seeing your school community continue and grow. So thank you for kind of giving us the backbone to not have to obsess over the document and to be able to really live in just the work that you all shared. So thank you, and thank you to our students. So great to hear from you. Thank you for bringing your voice into our space. Other questions or comments from the board while we have our CKCS team here?
I would just echo, I understand the importance of homework, but I too have a hard time with homework. So, but I thank you for your presentation, and thank you for the students' presentation as well.
I love homework.
Well, as we did last week, and I apologize that I didn't formally do this with our adoption of the agenda, but last week we also stepped then into board action right away to take our vote on the renewal for New Century. So I'd like to do the same thing this evening. So if there's any further questions, discussion, we'll ask for that now. Otherwise, we'll move ahead then into board action, if that's all right with you all. Then is there a motion to approve the Core Knowledge Charter School charter renewal as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
That's a Corby, second. Thank you. You're already in the minutes. All those in favor of approving the Core Knowledge Charter School charter renewal signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Charter is renewed, and thank you all so very much again for your time. Super grateful for your time. We do have an ongoing agenda that is clearly open to the community. By all means, please stay. However, we absolutely honor the rest of your evening, and if you would like to make your way, you can certainly do that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all again for coming.
Sometimes, especially
What, and the collaboration, I mean, just, yeah. Thank you for your work. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a good night.
All righty.
Yes.
All right, continuing the superintendent's report, we're going to move to human growth and development update.
I do have one for you. I do have one.
Good evening. glad to be here with everyone that's still here to hear about human growth and development and all the other riveting information that we're going to share. But tonight, we're going to just give you all an update on the work of the Human Growth and Development Committee. Just want to take you back and remind you of the work that we've done so far, and then our charge at the beginning of the school year by the Board of Education was to review the current state of human growth and development as it exists in our district today. And so we, along with the committee, which is comprised of educators, parents, community members, we have a student, that team has taken on this work with, and realizes the importance of it. So we started back in October, and in October, we were given a chance to hear about the data, the current data of our youth, speaking specifically of risk data. We then heard and spent a great deal of time reviewing the charge and the state statute. Then at our next meeting, we heard from our elementary and our high school instructors. So one of the requests of the team was to learn more, and how could they learn more and know more rather than outside of experiencing the curriculum itself. And so that was the second meeting. And then the third meeting, which was last Thursday, we were able to hear about middle school curriculum. And so Diana is going to share the work of the committee on Thursday, as well as then talk about next steps for our next and upcoming meetings.
Hi, my name is Diana Castellanos. I'm the Dean of Students at the high school here. I'm just going to go through our slides. So like Dr. Hawkins said, we had the pleasure of hearing a middle school lesson. That was a big interest of the committee, just to kind of see the coherence and the alignment, like K-12. And some very interesting conversations came from that. So we had the teacher that teaches at Badger Ridge from the Family and Consumer Science education come and give us that course. So the human growth and development is taught within the FACE at the middle schools, which we thought was interesting. A lot of us didn't know that, so that was great to learn. And so it happens over a period of time when students are enrolled in Family and Consumer Science education. And so the materials were also distributed to us. And one thing that was very interesting is the materials were differentiated. The materials contained the same information, but it was differentiated for students based on their literacy levels and just kind of needs that they may have. And that's kind of decided with 504, case managers, things like that, what would be appropriate for a student to kind of work with, because it is kind of like a fill in the blank packet. And so it has a lot of the things that they're learning in the lesson, they're filling out on a paper packet. So I thought that was really interesting that there was differentiation for students. One had more like fill in the blank. There was a lot of verbiage in there that was provided for them and explained, and one didn't have as much scaffolds in it for students who maybe that was more appropriate for at the time. And so one thing that came up too is that those materials are given in Spanish, but not necessarily delivered in Spanish to students. So it is an option. They have materials in Spanish, but all of the instruction is given in Spanish. And so one thing we really talked about at the end when we debriefed is what are other school districts maybe potentially doing for students who are multilingual, right? There's a lot of multilingual programs here in Dane County, and so we really are wondering what are other schools doing that house multilingual programs, but just also in general, I think the biggest roadblock we're running into is we don't know what we're comparing to because we don't know what else is out there. So I think some of the next steps that we're really leaning into is just what are other school districts doing, whether it's like a prepackaged box curriculum or what they've developed on their own and how that's going for them. So I think that's one of the biggest things we're kind of going to lead into is just what are other districts doing? How is it going for them? And that's one of the things, Adam Zinkstein was going to kind of work on and just get some information about that. What is something that's, a box curriculum going to look like, or what are other districts doing? And just really use that to lean into like the comparison, because again, none of us really know what's out there. We only know what we've seen thus far. And then one other thing too that we talked about is just the representation for our students who identify as LGBTQ, and just really wondering like, what does that look like K-12? And so we lead into that conversation too, and just the importance, right, if we're really truly living out our equity statement, right, valuing and affirming all of our students on the basis of their identities. And then, what else was I gonna say? I think too, just some of the language that was used Like would students understand what they meant by some of that language, unpacking that language, what did it look like? And so that was kind of brought up by one of our medical members who is in the medical world, is just like, do our students understand when we're truly using medical terms, what we're referring to, and just how we unpack that with our students when it's delivered to them. That was another thing that was really brought up and discussed, I think, in depth during our meeting, is just how our students perceiving and unpacking that as they're getting the information to them. But that was the biggest thing. I think we really want to lean into looking at other school districts and just what they're doing. We also talked about student voice and how important that is. I think we're thinking about ways on collecting data around student voice that we hadn't kind of closed in on, but we think it is really important, especially at the secondary level, of just how students feel that this is adding to their own wellness and how they're being made aware of just how they're growing and developing and just how they feel about that. So that was another thing we really wanted to lean into. We spent quite a bit of time talking about that and just how to incorporate student voice while also being sensitive to this is something that's difficult to talk about. So wanting to invite that, but then also finding avenues to bring them in without students necessarily having to talk to a room of adults about it. Questions, concerns, comments?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to make just a clarifying statement then to two areas that I just want to applaud what you said. And ensuring that we frame the Board of Education's charge to the committee, just for our public to know, was to look and review current human growth and development curriculum, K through 12 in the Verona area school district. So that's the overarching work of the committee. Within that, I want to send two appreciations. One, how you've taken two crucial priority areas of the Verona area school district and done that in overlaying the work, which I clearly heard you talk about overlaying the equity framework in how you're thinking about the review process. And I also heard you thinking specifically around academic vocabulary, which is our disciplinary literacy focus. So you're using both of our our key focus areas to do that work. So thank you for that, for those two places, but also want to make sure our community on behalf of our Board of Education knew what the original charge was of the committee, which is a review of current state of curriculum.
Correct.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just piggyback off of that, because even though that's the charge, it's hard not to disentangle the other layers that I'm hearing coming through, right? As you're looking at what the current curriculum is, it sounds like the committee is also grappling with what seems to be missing, what doesn't resonate, what doesn't feel right. So that the overlay is there. So I'm excited to see where that goes. And just to kind of take exactly what Dr. Clarity said and thinking about our equity framework being kind of over all of the work, that not just the curriculum being the piece, but the delivery of. So how you said, like, who is the instructor that's delivering the curriculum? What is the language beyond the academic language, but the language that we use, so we are ensuring that students feel included in the discussion. So even just being able to see some of the sample slides that you shared and the minutes of being able to see the shift away from like binary terms and things that we just know they don't make sense. And to ensure that what are we doing to have the right student voice, I'm going to come back to that in a second, but that the language of delivery matters. So I hope that stays part of the committee's work, that it isn't just about a box curriculum. The curriculum is one piece. How the dialogue gets framed, how we support our instructors to then deliver the curriculum in a way that students feel seen and included in the discussion, that feels really important to me and sounds like it's part of the discussion. It doesn't separate. And then what was I going to do with that last piece? Oh, the student voice. Thank you for lifting that up. And what does that look like to do that really authentically? So I'm really curious if there's any grappling that's come with that, or that you keep us kind of posted about where you think that student voice is going to come from. So it's not, I don't know. When I saw that, grappling with like, what would you ask a student? Did you like this class? No. What are we trying to really elicit from students about the experience of the class?
Yeah, and those are the same questions we had. We were like, what do we ask, right? So it is authentic and true to their experience, but also, right, pinpointing like those very specific things that we want to learn. And we even thought through like, who are the students that are going to kind of self-select to give this information more openly, whereas others maybe who won't openly speak about their experience. So we really do want to be authentic in that and just getting a well-rounded student voice representation. But yes, we spent a lot of time talking about that and just what that would look like in that process to honor our student voices, but also their privacy, as it is something that's, difficult as they're growing and developing to kind of talk about openly in a room of adults. So we talked a lot about that. Dr. Hawkins.
So I'm glad to hear that you all are giving us the nod to move ahead with the recommendations for next steps. So part of our work, though, is to be cognizant of the direction that you all want us to go as we interrogate our current state. And so seeking out student voice, as well as looking at other districts and what they use, as well as how they deliver. Those are our thoughts on next steps, but we also want to make sure that we capture any thoughts or invite you all into what else you all perhaps would like us to see, would like to see us do. We have a meeting in April, and then when we started, we said we would work until May, and if the work needed to continue, then we certainly will carry on, but we certainly want to make sure that we're capturing you all's desires as we do this work as well.
Just want to make a comment. I appreciate the all of the work that you've included here, and I appreciate also the lens of LGBTQ community and students. Again, I've been doing equity for most of my career. One of the questions that you always ask when you're evaluating systems, especially for unintended consequences, as we look at how current state exists, one thing we want to think about is who's missing at the table. And so I think, a couple of resources that I can think of right off the bat that we may want to look at for a good LGBTQ perspective. GSAFE is a statewide organization that does have recommendations for how we look at this curriculum. Outreach here in Madison is another organization. And then our local, our community GSA and our gender inclusion committee, which both Corey and I sit on as well. So I think those are some additional resources that we can ask. And so as we're centering student perspective in this, I think it's important to bring that in. And then another resource that a parent shared with me was that advocates for youth's risk, respect, and responsibility. It's kind of they've got a lot of guidance within that framework that is inclusive of LGBTQ perspectives in this work, specifically at all levels, K through 12. And so I think that would be another resource that I can share that with you all after this meeting. But I do, thinking about impact as well, the importance of this work. Language access you brought up as another important piece, but I think about just my own experience growing up and having resources to understand what it meant to be queer. And there was no one other than my friends who were giving me very inaccurate information and the stigma that came about with that. So I think as a society, we've grown a great deal in regards to holding space for all of our community to actually have a deeper conversation around that. But I would say that impact is different based on resources at home, supportive families, income level, et cetera. There's so many things that can really impact. And the importance of this curriculum really being the resource that we have standardized will give, I think, important tools for children and other students going through the process of coming out, that they can come out of that process whole, and that we can start positively impacting students that may, look at other, there's higher incidence of suicide and self-harm because those resources have not always been there. So I just want to, I know that we all know this, but I wanted to put it in the room that the importance of that work. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just had one more thing that I kind of want to make as just a general statement, and I'm only speaking for myself, and board members, you can share otherwise or whatever. But just in the commitment we have at this table, as we shared when we started this meeting, to be inclusive, to honor our equity statement, and the work that I'm hearing you all doing that elevates that, I just want to say, I stand as being a firm supporter of our staff who deliver this curriculum. It can be seen as controversial, But if we are choosing something that elevates all the things that we value, I stand behind those educators in doing that work, and for them to not be fearful, to be the vessel through which our curriculum comes to life. I just want to reassure, because I've had staff just share that uncertainty of, if we believe this work, we have your back. And we appreciate the staff that are in these spaces, because it is not an easy space to be. So I just want to put that out there. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, and I hope that is somewhat reassuring to our teachers, because that's really important, because they are the front lines of the work, and we are here.
I'd be remiss if I did not call out Diana Lindhurst. She was our presenter Thursday night that stood in front of our committee and presented middle school human growth and development to a room full of adults. And so kudos to her for being our speaker. And I did not want to not acknowledge her after that powerful statement, President Murphy. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, feedback to share at this point for our committee representatives? Thank you again for being on the table.
All of this information will be found on the website. So our community has access to the agenda, the minutes, the presentation, and all of the notes. So we will continue to carry on in the direction that you all have given us tonight. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your work. Okay, back to the agenda. I feel like it's going in all sorts of order, but it really isn't. I think we're all right. So that does move us out of superintendent's report. So we'll move into public comment. I know I have one via email. Lori, was there anything else in person tonight or anything else?
No.
Okay. Then I'm going to just take a moment to read the public comment that we did receive over email. I'm using I as in the email, but it's not me. I am Erin Quinn Roberts, an education assistant at New Century School and with the district 4 years as of March 1st. I absolutely love my job and students I serve each day. The staff that is my second family. I have a strong ethical and moral system. I am cognizant of where my hard-earned money goes. I have spent the last 26 years of my life employed at places that align with my value system, and this included what health insurance carrier my family had. We have been with GHC or courts for almost 3 decades because SSM Health Dean, a nonprofit Catholic organization, is not aligned with my value system. I believe in honesty and equity on all levels. I am also a survivor of childhood abuse, and supporting an organization that is affiliated with the Catholic Church that hide thousands of child sexual abuse cases is disturbing. Just read the John Jay report. What's even more perplexing is how many school districts in Dane County that promote equity, inclusion, and diversity use SSM Health Dean as an insurance carrier. It's disheartening, as the work I do I love so deeply, and the district I work for promotes a value system I believe in, but choosing the bottom dollar over a value system, then we need to rework some of our fundamental core principles. Thank you, Erin, for the note. That is a lead into a discussion we'll be having, so I appreciate the public comment. And with that, we'll move then officially into board action. So board, if we're following along with the agenda, we have taken care of the vote on core knowledge, and per our beginning of the meeting, we have moved our results policy monitoring to next week's meeting. We will be back next week to start March. So now moving to the second reading of policy BSR5 adjustment. Bless you. So if you bring that up in your agenda, this was something we did as a first read last meeting where we changed item number 7 within this policy that had said in October, and we changed the language to reflect each year, just to give ourselves that flexibility as we're developing our calendar for evaluation of the superintendent. So this being our second read, if there's any further discussion or questions, I would ask for those now. All right. So then given that, we will go ahead and move to vote because that is officially our second read. I will accept a motion to approve policy BSR5 as amended.
So moved.
I had to pause and say, did I say that in a way that asked for a motion? Thank you, Joe. Is there a second? Second, John, thank you. All those in favor of approving the policy rewrite for BSR5 signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the policy rewrite has been approved. Moving on to proposal for health insurance. So do we have, I think we have folks that are gonna, even though we're in board action, yes, thank you. A bit of a presentation to go with our vote this evening. So board, we have representatives from HR, from our union leadership, and we do have representatives from Dean in the space as well. So as we get a chance to have any dialogue discussion, it looks like we have great places to ask questions.
Good evening, board members. I'm going to attempt to go through a whole bunch of slides that we're going to skip until next week.
Right.
Tonight is an update to share with you on the progress we've made with our health insurance RFP. And I want to ground us back to the work that we've been doing since the summer. Back in October, we had a meeting with Group Health Cooperative, our current health insurance provider, to really understand what a continued relationship with GHC would look like. At that point, we went back and forth with renewal and rate increases. In November, GHC provided us with a renewal plan that just did not align with our budget forecasting. And so in early December, we pulled together our really great partnerships with VAEA and VESTA to really come together and discuss what a health insurance RFP would look like going forward. And an RFP for us was really to understand what the market looks like, to ensure that we are doing the best for our employees as well as what's best financially for the district. In January, we received RFP responses from GHC, Dean, and Quartz. Quartz actually came in significantly higher than the two other providers, and so we decided to move forward with GHC and Dean. They came in at the end of January, and along with VAEA and VESTA. We had an RFP day where we met with the vendors, we understood what their plans were, we asked lots of questions. After that point, we realized that we also needed to gather more employee feedback. And so a couple of weeks ago, we sent a survey to staff asking them what was important for healthcare. And tonight we are here to move forward with a recommendation. Specifically for that staff feedback, I think it's really important to ground ourselves in what staff provided. Out of the 850 employees that we sent the survey to, 185 people responded. That's about 25% of our population enrolled in health insurance. And the priorities for the staff that responded are affordable premiums, low out-of-pocket costs, a broad and wide access to providers, access to mental health services, and prescription drug coverage. Those were high priority, very important items for our staff members. We also realized in the survey feedback that many of our employees don't understand that we have access to a larger network of providers through a program called the Point of Service Plan. And we need to do a better job communicating that to employees. That is a follow-up that we definitely have to focus on. Within that survey feedback, we also left an area for open-ended feedback. And what we saw within that was about 16% of the respondents, about 5% of our employees on insurance, stated that staying with GHC was very important to them for a variety of reasons. Access to UW, continuing treatments, and some beliefs. And we know that that point of service plan allows for that no matter what path we go forward tonight. With that, I want to go a little deeper into the proposals. After Dean and GHC came and presented in late January, we also had further negotiations with them because we needed to understand what a continued relationship would look like. GHC came in with their final proposal of a 1.1% increase from current rates, while having a very significant disruption to our plan. They are actually forcing us to move to a limited network model, which only allows members to go to 5 GHC clinics in Dane County. That would disrupt over 650 members, as well as have really significant impacts to people on timing on when they go to care, how they get to care, people who live far away from those clinics. When we look at a 3-year cost to the district staying with GHC, Our 3-year healthcare spend is a little under $37 million at that 1.1 rate increase with a 7.9 rate cap guarantee. $37 million. It also includes a minor plan design change, returning us to $20 copays and aligning our prescription drug to what's more common within the school healthcare market. Dean, on the other hand, came in with a fairly significant savings, 7% less than what we're paying now and what our employees are paying now for insurance. The same rate cap guarantee of 7.9, not to exceed for those 2 years. When we look at the 3-year healthcare spend, it is almost $3 million less than GHC. It's a little under $34 million. That's significant. And I think it's also significant thinking about the provider disruption. Staying with GHC has a significant provider disruption. The same with staying with Dean or moving to Dean. Again, though, Dean aligns with some of those things that our employees provided feedback on that were very important to us. Large access to providers, mental health coverage, low premiums, access to care. Along with those minor plan design changes, $20 copay, and updating our prescription drug coverage. Now, I am not deeply involved in the budget, but I will provide a very high-level overview of the budget impacts. We know in early April, Chad Weezy is going to be back to give that very detailed look of budgets that you really appreciate. Tonight, I can give you the high-level surface idea. Up until this point, we have been projecting to you that we're going to have a budget deficit of about $1.6 million. Chad, Pete, and I have worked really, really hard to try to close that gap. We have found about $1 million in salary savings. That is realigning people to the appropriate budget codes. We have found some savings in income with open enrollment, kind of opening that door for students to be able to come into the district. We've made some other adjustments. And with a change to Dean, we actually go from a budget shortfall of $1.6 million to a budget margin of approximately $1.2 million. Now that, I just want to pause. While that feels really good right now, we don't know what the state budget is going to look like in July. We have no idea what is happening on the federal side with federal funding. And so while this feels like a point where we can celebrate, it is insurance for us to be able to work through the next couple of months of very unknown times. But it provides us more insurance with that budget margin switching to D than it does with remaining with GHC.
Can I make one correction just for our public and I didn't want to accidentally get your headline. The projected open enrollment income was the work of the board vote, not due to the finance team, because all open enrollments are board decisions.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Very important. I also want to call out the relationship and the collaboration we've had with VESPA and VAEA. They have been along at our tables with us, hard, long conversations about understanding healthcare, really questioning our insurance carriers, and thought it would be good to have them sit at this table with me tonight. They have some statements that they would like to be able to make as well that I think is very important.
Yes. My name is Barb Winger-Rourke. I'm a co-president of the VAEA, which is the Verona Area Education Association.
Hi, and I'm Jamie Brown. I am the co-president of our VESPA union, and we are both here to speak on behalf of our members. First, we would like to thank Dr. Clarity, Mr. Weesey, Dr. Hawkins, and Ms. Haiti for their commitment to working collaboratively with both VAEA and VESPA. In addition, thank you to the school board for your many hours of service for the betterment of students, families, and all staff employed in the Verona Area School District. And also thank you to Bree from M3 for answering so many of our questions. As representatives of VAEA and VESPA, we understand and respect the recommendation of VASD district administrators to switch from GHC to Dean SSM Health to align with VASD's Board Governance Policy OE4, Personnel, and OE6, Financial.
Our focus as representatives of BAEA and VESPA, we understand and respect the recommendation of VASD's district administrators to switch from GHC to Dean SSM Health to align with VASD's board governance policy. But also, our focus as representatives of BAE and VESPA is to ensure that all of our staff and their family members have equitable access to the best high-quality healthcare regardless of their identity, in alignment with the VASD educational equity framework. For this reason, we have reservations with the transition to Dean SSM Health. While we are accepting the district recommendation that we change insurance providers from GHC to Dean SSM Health, our reservations with this recommendation focus on the values, messaging of the co-ownership between Dean Health Plan by Medica, 55% ownership, and SSM Health, 45% ownership, specifically regarding women's and the LGBTQIA2S+ healthcare. With regard to this, we have been assured that coverage for women's and LGBTQI2S+ is allowed under the insurance plan, and it has been requested by VASD. We want our members to know that advocating for access to equitable, high-quality health care for all staff and their families will continue to be a focus for us. We appreciate the collaborative process facilitated by the VASD district administrators and the opportunity to meet with representatives from GHC and Dean SSM Health to ask detailed questions about the transition process, policies, and access to specialty care. We look forward to a continued working partnership with VASD district administrators to ensure our staff and families can make the best informed decisions for their individual and unique healthcare needs. So thank you to everyone for the opportunity to speak and for your service and commitment to the students, families, staff, and community of VASD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. I mean, just to say collaboration and then to see you all here and hear your voices. I know as a board member, I greatly appreciate that, to just get the authentic perspectives from each of you and to just see those long hours and meetings coming together in this space. Yeah, I appreciate hearing from all of you.
Thank you.
Anything else? No, you're free to stay up at this table or you can move. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So depending on what option we move forward with, there's still change that needs to happen for our employees. And so really today is a day that a decision needs to be made so that we can communicate well and ensure our employees have a smooth transition to a new healthcare plan design. We expect to have one-on-one meetings, transition of care meetings, building-based meetings with all of our staff next month, starting as early as 2 weeks from now, and really focusing on educating our employees of what our healthcare plan is, how to utilize the plan, how no matter what, a majority of them are going to have to find new doctors, how we help them find new doctors. Then in the months of April through June, we're going to support people with enrolling in those plans, getting them insurance cards, ensuring that there are transition of care programs set up so that continued access can happen, that they can pick up prescription drugs, that we still continue to have a continuum of care. And then really our big date is July 1st. That's our go live date. And we know many of our employees are off of work during that time, so it's important that we get all of this work done well before the end of the school year, so that over the summer they're not stressing about this. And so with that, district administration and the health insurance RFP committee would like to recommend moving to Dean as of July 1, 2025. We're going to open it up to you for questions and then for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. So board, I heard an invitation there for questions, comments, any discussion that we want to have, just what we've been given as a proposal and things that we've heard this evening.
I think it's important, Barbara mentioned that there's insurance, that we have assurances in the insurance, but there will be care for women's health and LGBTQIA as plus. Is that something that we are confident that we will be able to, our members will have access to?
Absolutely. We have received assurance from SSM and Dean Health Plan, and it will be written in our plan document. I think the piece to understand is that if a doctor cannot provide the care within network, they will refer to an out-of-network provider that will cover those services at an in-network rate. So it's very important that the care is built into our plan. It's how we access the care. Might need some additional support. That doesn't mean it's going to take longer, but we will just provide support to access that care.
Could you speak a little bit about the possibility under the Dean plan for the on-site and near-site clinic?
Absolutely. So there is an option to explore an on-site or near-site clinic. We know it provides significant benefits to our employees. It could be no-cost access to care, quick access to care, but there's a financial impact to that as well. That could eat up some of that $3 million savings. It takes time to build out, but we have received commitment from Dean and SSM that we would be involved along the way, including even to the minute details of who they hire as providers. But that is work that we need to do after a decision is made. A goal would be that if we can have an on-site or near-site clinic up and running by the beginning of next school year, that would be an amazing goal for us to aim for.
And is the idea that having an on-site or near-site clinic will reduce Dean Health Plan's overall, the risk profile so that they're less likely to get all the way up to that not to exceed?
That's correct. So every person that goes to that on-site, near-site clinic does not hit our claims. It has been shared that we can realize the savings as quickly as 18 months into the plan, if not sooner. So we would have to do a good job navigating people to that clinic to reduce those claims.
And I think that's pretty big because you start looking at those 7.9% potential increase. Those are pretty huge numbers. And so just having the option of having something that we can do to keep that number down is pretty big.
Well, and you said the access piece. I mean, right, having been a staff member where, okay, am I gonna have to try to get a half-day sub to go and have a doctor visit? I mean, right, shrinking that stressor on staff to try to find coverage, to have that proximity, I think is a really huge benefit as well for staff, their experience, and then as a district as a whole of just the complexity of being able to support staff when they need to have medical appointments.
Well, and I think that same point is one of the reasons that GHC's proposal just isn't workable is the closest GHC clinic to where we're sitting right now is the Hatchery Hill Clinic, which is like a 15-minute drive or more from here. And that's just from people going from work. We have staff members that live outside of Dane County that I can't imagine what they would have to do to get medical care, to 30, 40-minute drives just to see a primary care provider.
And with that piece, so you kind of talked about having to clarify certain things. So in the comparison and the discussion, staff understand that what we have now does not stay. So kind of the current GHC is not one of the things that are being voted on that you've shared with us, that GHC is also changing the coverage, that got really clearly communicated to people.
We believe it was.
Okay.
Our email was multiple paragraphs long, but that was important as something that we highlighted right at the beginning.
Yeah, but the status quo as it exists as of June 30th is not.
Does not exist.
Right.
And I want to emphasize a point that's really important to me too, which is that it's not as if we live in a universe where we can pursue whatever financial priorities are important to us. We live in this zero-sum game environment where there's this revenue limit where we can't exceed it. So if we're going to be spending more on employees' healthcare coverage to the tune of several millions of dollars, that's got to come from somewhere else because we have this zero-sum environment. So it isn't as if we can just exercise our whatever values we want financially without sacrificing something.
Just to kind of echo some of the things, Barb, I heard you share and the email that we got from public comment that I'm hearing there's concern around just simply access to the things I'd like to access medically speaking. And then there's the philosophical piece of this of not feeling right, partnering with an organization that I don't necessarily agree with kind of morally or ethically. So just because we had that public comment, I just want to lift that back into the space. And I don't know if any of our representatives here, I appreciate you being here to be a part of this conversation. If anyone wants to put any voice to just that fact of some of our staff members just grappling kind of from a moral compass standpoint, that is something we're not diminishing or overlooking or prioritize or swaying money over values, right? So if anyone wants to kind of lift up anything to that, I'd appreciate that.
My moral compass points directly away from for-profit insurance companies
Right,
in general, so
right.
I'm in a real conundrum here.
Right. That's very true.
I believe that Dean is not a profit as well.
All right, all insurance companies.
I think one piece that's really important is I wholeheartedly agree that we all have our own individual beliefs and we have to follow our own moral compass. That's why that point of service plan is so critically important for people to be able to say, I do not align with SSM Health and their beliefs and how they treat members. And so I want to continue to exercise my right to see a UW doctor, and that's allowable through the point of service plan. And I think it's important to know that Dean Health Insurance is majority owned by Medica, which is not SSM Health.
Yeah, I didn't know that percentage breakdown. That was helpful to hear.
And all joking aside, I think it's important to understand that, like, not every entity or person is all good or all bad, right? There are good things and bad things. For me, one of the overarching concerns is having access, right? Like the GHC plan having 5 clinics in Dane County that you have access to is not the same as, Dean's plan having much wider access to where you can go and who you can see, and that's a big deal.
I know the changing health plan for our staff, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big ask. I do appreciate that we have representatives from Dean Health Plan here to signal the partnership that will be undertaken at this transition. This is a big lift, and making people have very strong attachments to their care providers. I've personally been with DHP since 2001, so I understand that these relationships with your treating physicians is really important, and DHP does have a great network system of physicians. So I am hopeful that the partnership from DHP and our staff can be strong to help assist with that transition of care, ensure that continuity is there. In this day and age, it's a big deal for not just our staff, but for the families that are relying on our staff members.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm gonna just say something. Like, it has been nice throughout this process to feel like Dean wants to work with us. That isn't always the way I've felt about all parties involved. So I appreciate that.
I just wanted to add more to that point, but I understand aligning, your dollars to your values. And that it's important that we really make sure every employee understands the POS model, because they can circumvent, right? Obviously, Dean is an insurance provider, but they feel very strongly that they need somebody that's aligned with their values. They can choose to direct their dollars to a doctor that's more aligned, a practice that's more aligned. Obviously, it's still going to be covered through the insurance model of Dean, but it's important for them to know that they have some control where they vote for their dollars, so to speak. So I do like that that's highlighted. It's just, we need to make sure we do a really good job of making sure everybody knows that and is educated on that point, so they know they have that ability if they want to. For those that feel very strongly like the individual that contribute to public comment. So.
That will be a priority focus for us.
How have you found, what method of communication do you feel is most effective?
All.
So in every direction, because 25% survey response is not bad.
Right.
Obviously, ideally you get 100, right? That's a message like this, it's you want to really make sure you get to as high a percentage as possible.
For sure. So initial thoughts would be an email communication needs to go out tonight or tomorrow morning. and then have on-site meetings as early as the second week of March. So we've got the email mode of communication, a Google folder that has lots of reading materials for folks that like to research and kind of read on their own. In-person meetings in a group setting where we can all hear things together. And then Dean has graciously offered to do one-on-one meetings with any member that signs up. And so you think about all of those modes of communication are really important. We will have to do a really good job monitoring on who's enrolled to understand who we're missing. That's important for us, as we don't want to miss anyone. And I think it's also important to understand that we have very wide language abilities within the district. So we're going to have to focus on English meetings and Spanish meetings and Russian meetings to support every person so that they're able to understand it in a way that makes sense for them.
So we do still officially have a vote to take. So I want to just make sure one last time that everyone has had any questions answered that they've had, any additional comments that any board members want to surface, because we will take a vote, and each of you is a single voting member, and you can vote however you choose to, but we will move forward to that.
I just want to say I don't hate all insurance companies. That's a public statement.
You just do it.
You say you do.
No.
Don't.
No,
I don't.
Okay. All right, so we do have a recommendation. So I am going to make a motion then in alignment with the recommendation that is coming forward to us. So I would accept a motion to approve the recommendation of district administration and staff leadership to change to Dean Health Plan Incorporated as presented. So moved. Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, John. All those in favor of approving the recommendation for VASD to move to Dean Health Plan Incorporated, please signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Approved and onward, and thank you then in advance for all of the communication you all have said you are committed to. We greatly appreciate that. Ensuring our staff have a smooth transition. Thank you to our Dean representatives. Your presence matters. Thank you so much for being in the space today.
Thank you. And we really do appreciate the willingness to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great.
Yeah, thank you. We're a good bunch. All right. Very good. Thank you again, staff leaders. So moving on to board updates. Anything specific to OE8 communications this evening?
Actually, yes.
Okay. Caught up with press, yes.
Well, I didn't know based on the vote, so I wanted
Okay.
to get, I'll send to you as Rochelle mentioned, the communication that will need to go to staff, so.
Okay.
In the event that there was a yes vote, we did have that ready to go, but considering it directly represents the board vote today, I want to make sure that we had eyes on that, and just also publicize that process and make sure that the board is aware of the communication that goes on.
Great. Okay. Look forward to seeing that. Thank you. Oh, yeah, okay. Just one other kind of general board update. So obviously we did some reworking of our agenda this evening, but also just an initial hope that we can move some items from March 17th either up to March 3rd and or to the first meeting in April. So that our Monday, March 17th meeting ideally will be predominantly workshop time around results. So our little worker bee group of Meredith, John, and myself have been working through some things that we can kind of build as a template with some admin insights. So we have something to work from in terms of our grappling with results policies, kind of what we're grappling with, even with what we're going to monitor now next meeting. So we look forward to that time and thought if we could actually carve it out to happen within an identified board meeting evening, that may be ideal from a time perspective. So that is the hope. Stay tuned as we continue to kind of massage the meeting schedules, but yeah.
Got a
Just wanna
question.
put that out there, yeah.
Because add this mini onboarding committee.
Mm-hmm.
I think us three.
Your work, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, very slowly but surely, should we make it a goal to have something presented on the 17th?
Not necessarily, but if you, I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
cool, 'cause I
Yeah, because
appreciate
the focus will be the results work, so
Okay.
yeah, whenever you want to share.
One thing at a time.
I agree. I just want to make sure that wasn't your expectation.
No, no, no. But let us know when you do have an update, and we'll make sure it's part of a future agenda when you do feel like there's something. Yeah, nope.
A little update maybe sometime.
Because we, simultaneous work happening, but I think the elevation of how often we speak to results and the fact that these boundary
No,
reports really kind of reflect, yeah, we'll do that.
I was like, I think that we can only handle one big discussion at a time.
I don't know, if ours would be that.
Look at all the things we've
You
discussed.
don't have to onboard anyone.
For a while, that's what we have to.
You have a little.
People moving.
What?
People moving and leaving.
Just doing it. It's on my list, so it's.
Great.
You're off.
Okay. If there are no other just general board updates, working back through our agenda, you have the superintendent consent agenda that has been linked into your board docs. Any questions? Hearing none,
I need Rochelle.
so we do have something in there that was per previous closed session discussion, so do make sure you all are looking at it.
Before we move on to that, can I give one more update?
Yeah, that would actually be great as long as we.
Yeah, so I did attend Dr. Clardy's presentation in front of the Verona Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.
Phenomenal presentation by leadership and staff.
Yeah.
Well received as well from the chamber. So I just wanted to let folks know it's there. It was great. So
Thank you for attending. Yeah, thank you to Dr. Clardy too for being able to present in that
Yeah.
space. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is why we're a team of 7, because I always think there's something we gotta talk about and something to share, so.
Thank you for being there, Chris. Appreciate it. On a big snow day.
Yeah, but lunch was good too.
Lunch was.
Right.
Yes.
We did all that.
You did.
I slid it right past you. Is there anything then that we're coming back to with superintendent consent?
Yeah, very clear.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for double checking. Okay, any questions about the superintendent's consent agenda? Okay.
I have the most updated, I have nothing in there.
Yeah.
Do a refresh of board docs?
That's what I was.
Yeah, thanks, John, that's really good.
Oh, there we go.
That's a refresh the wrong one.
Okay. Meredith, do you need an additional pause from me on?
Yeah, I'm just looking for Josh, shoulder real quick. I looked earlier, just want to make sure that I'm seeing the right. Yes, okay.
Okay.
Same. Yeah, good, thank you.
All right. So hearing no other questions, the superintendent's consent agenda is approved as presented. Board consent agenda, similarly, any questions? Okay, hearing none, the board's consent agenda is approved. Future agenda items, I know the paper copy said March 3rd. I know our slides did not list March 3rd, but as we've talked about multiple times, we have a meeting next week already, March 3rd. So
I'm still back in February. So
I know, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see you all next week, same time, same place. And with that, we are set to adjourn. If there's nothing else from any board members, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So.
Thanks, Juan Carlos. Is there a second? Thanks,
Second.
Christopher. All those in favor of adjourning this evening's meeting, signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.